Hi everybody, my name is Asandumbia. I'm going to talk about evacuation procedures, right? Before I proceed further, evacuation procedures, it simply means that the process of evacuates people from one area or one crisis area to a safer place. That means to evacuate people or person or groups, right? I'm going to talk about 6 steps of evacuation procedures. I'm going to talk about 6 points. Point number one: evacuation is effectively carried out with the assistance of good precautions or guidelines. Point number two: having a good sample or effective contingent plan that everybody can easily understand. Example, you should have a directions or a map in case of any emergency situation, like in type of fire, how to use the lift, in case of theft in a building, in case of attack, what is the emergency plan. Then number three, you have to ensure that you have the sufficient staffs available at the right place, right? That means the staffs, that the safety management teams, that they should undertake this in case of emergency, that they should able to control people what they should do. Then point number four is making sure all personnel are brief and have advantage or a advanced training, right? You have to give update training on every evacuation plan, because accident is inevitable, it can occur at any time. So in every buildings, in every management or any country, in terms of disaster or anything can happen, so you have to have evacuation plan, right? So you have to give updates trainings, right? In terms of even health area, you have to have evacuation plan. Some people have heart attack, they fall down. What are you going to do in that situation, right? Then number five, usually this is done as a matter of routine under a safety legislations. Point number six of the evacuation: use the opportunity to brief people on any added safety procedures you may have. you know I'm going to talk about 5 points of safety procedures. In that is the first point, I'm going to talk about communications, right? The 5 points, I'm going to talk about communication. That is communicating to your team. Communicating to your team, establish and practice communication procedures so that the virtual emergency exits are open in the time, and that every emergency muster points are available, right? You have to communicate to your staffs or everybody about emergency systems, what they should do, and update training to your team. Then point number two, you're talking about information to your team. Keep people informed. That means keep people informed about or at each stages of incidents. There is nothing worse than not knowing nothing what is going on. So people should not be in a dilemma. You should explain to them that in this emergency situation, this is what is going on. Then if not inform, they will not make it up, probably cause panic among them. Then the third point, talking about announcements to your staff. Announcements: having a prepared announcement to handle for each phase of the contingent plan, that to ensure that the introduction given are clearly and concise, not confusing, right? That announcement, you have to announce to your staffs you explain to them before that, in case of emergency, this is what you should do, this is how you should do it, and you should not use ambiguous words. You should give them a concise explanation. How are they going to undertake these evacuation plans, right? Then point number 4, talking about guide notes. You should have a guide note. Guide note, people under stress are likely to forget even the most obvious issues. Having a guide note to hand for a safety personnel is extremely advantageous, right? So if you have a hand note everywhere in the buildings or commercials or governmental offices, it can help people in case of any emergency, right? Like in case of flood, disaster. You keep on sensitize people that fire, global warming. You give people ideas. So in case of that emergency occur, how are they going to solve it? Then point number 5, I'm going to talk about coordination. What is coordination in emergency service? Coordination make sure that contingency plans are coordinated with other agency. For example, like a port authority, ship, security service, firefighters. All people should be having this coordination, work towards time. Then in rehearsing, you have to create a drill in your offices, yeah, or commercial activity. In case of this thing happen, how are we going to do? So you have to create a monthly training or yearly training or 6 months training. How in case of emergency, what are we going to do? You have to create sensitization in case of flood, in case of any disaster in your county, how people are going to handle those things, right? Then the 6 points I'm going to highlight here, which is the leadership, right? In every areas, like you have to have the people that are going to lead these teams in case of emergency. So these people are not, sometimes are not perfect, but the decision they are making sometimes can lead into good or into a bad situation. So you should have people that can control this emergency system in case of emergency. Like you have the CRS, the crisis and risk managers. You have the safety managers. So these people should able to help people in case of emergency system, right? So I will stop here, but to conceptualize all, evacuation process is a process of helping people in one particular situation or difficulty that they are facing, to transfer them or to rescue them to a safety area wherein the area is very safe and peaceful. So I stop here, and in my next topic I'm going to talk about how you can secure evidence